Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to this week's Unconventional Wisdom on Grief and Loss. This is week session 24.
Installment, yeah.
Session
24?
24. Yeah,
Ooh.
exactly. So 24 weeks of this grief and loss, Unconventional Wisdom on Grief and
But
Loss
we've
series.
missed a few. We haven't gone literally
It
every
hasn't
week.
been consecutively. I think
The last month.
we were going consecutively for 20 weeks.
All right.
And then these last 4 sessions have been
Sporadic.
spread out.
As desired.
Exactly. As needed.
Right.
What we were thinking was alignment, applying, living life, alignment, applying, living life, that kind of thing. So my name is Delilah De La Rosa. I am the founder of Depth Worldwide. I'm also the subject here for Unconventional Wisdom on Grief and Loss. We put on this series after my mom passed away from pancreatic cancer back in November. And Steven Morrison, to my side here, is the creator of Spiritual Workout, which is the practice that we use that guides us through this whole and informs this whole unconventional wisdom on grief and loss.
Good thing, because that's all I do.
Yes. And he is also the author. Now, I forgot my book coming back over here. But
Mine's over there somewhere.
yeah, well, he is also the author of An Extra Year, Grief and Loss in the New Age, which pretty much is a firsthand account of everything that we pretty much talk about within the series. So read the book the first time back in 2008. And then reread the book after my mom passed away. So it took on a whole different meaning for me and understanding. So welcome, everyone. I also like to welcome my mom and Duder, who is also one of the subjects of An Extra Year, Steven's partner. If they are around, if they're present, welcome. Hi, Mom. And any and all non-physical entities that are joining us tonight.
That have interest in the subject of essentially thinning the veil between physical and non-physical.
Yes, exactly. So.
Oh, hi.
Hello. So did a couple of weeks of applying, aligning, living, aligning, applying, living. And it's been quite an adventure these past couple of weeks. I think where we last left off, I haven't actually reviewed the last video, the last session, but from what I remember, my soul work was to go through some of these limiting beliefs that may be at work at this time for me, that may be introducing some rockiness and just non-alignment with where I want to go. And so I have been doing that. They've definitely been at work.
How big of a list is it, roughly?
Not so big. The usual, which has been not enough.
By which you mean, as you think of these beliefs, none of them are new to you?
No.
Yeah.
No. None of them are new. I mean, they've been the age-old ones, like not enough. People, life, myself fucks up my program. I'm not okay unless everyone else is okay.
Hmm.
And another one, time is running out,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So those have been coming up, and I have been addressing them. Like whenever I feel like they're really activated, I do some tapping, go to intentions, and it's been helpful to do the tapping, definitely.
Can you
And
just show me or tell me how you're using the tapping on the specific belief or beliefs?
so when a lot of the time, this would begin with waking up and feeling physical symptoms.
Right.
So, ultra fatigue, ultra heavy hearted, ultra pain in my sacrum.
Hmm.
Um, so it's manifested, it's showed up in physical manifestations, which then have me going into the mind
Hmm.
as to what I'm making it mean,
Hmm.
right? Um, so a lot of the time when it starts with the physical manifestation or recognition, you
Hmm.
know, I'll go into the general tapping.
Hmm.
Um, you know, um, um, why am I forgetting the general tapping right now? I don't even
Well,
know.
it's just, so it's aimed at the physical symptoms, whatever.
Yeah,
Let it go, let it go, let it go,
exactly, let it go. I forgot.
whatever it
Yeah,
is, whatever.
exactly.
Which
I'll
is a
go.
really good thing to do when we're not so sure. Just woke up. Why am I feeling whatever I'm
Yeah,
feeling in
and
my
it's kind of
body?
like a all over type of thing,
Yeah.
but sometimes when I'll feel it, like, acutely
Hmm.
somewhere, right?
Hmm.
Like, there was a time yesterday, for example, where I was feeling almost like a hole in the middle of my chest, um, that was making me feel short of breath, and also, like, a real tightness in the back of the middle of my chest.
Hmm.
You know? And, I was like, "Well, this week marks the year when this whole thing started with my mom."
Hmm.
My mom went to the ER on last year on August 11th,
Right.
and technically on August 12th at 2 in the morning, she called me and told me that they found a mass in her pancreas.
Right.
Before that, she told me that they found blood clots, right? And
Right.
I remember, like, looking up about, because I've heard about blood clots before, like, a
Hmm.
while ago, and knew how serious they were, but she was saying how they found it in her legs and in her lungs, and I was like, "I know that's not a good thing," from what I remembered.
Right.
And then a couple of hours later, when they did more tests, they found a mass in her pancreas. And so that was August 11th, August 12th of last year, which was Monday, Tuesday this week,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So, you know, I wasn't trying to go into this season, this time period, basically the fall,
Right.
or going into the fall, latter parts of summer, going into fall,
Hmm.
trying to brace myself for, like, oh, it's gonna be a year, and
Yeah.
I
Good.
didn't want to do that, right? The
Good.
calendar, right?
Mhm.
Didn't want to do. I want to be open and also mindful and compassionate, graceful, that whatever may come up, okay, be open, and compassionate. But I wasn't trying to make it a given,
Good.
right? Um, but I ended up waking up like that, right? So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, it's this is definitely, maybe energetically, this is, what's coming up right now, and I'm gonna address it. However, it was and that's where I went into the more acutely, even though I'm feeling very heavy hearted right now, and I went more into the specific of
Good.
that.
Good.
yesterday, not just general, because I knew it was like right there. You know
And
what
so
I
for
mean?
anybody listening along, when we employ tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique, uh, in various ways, there are multiple applications. We have two basic approaches. One is very general that Delilah was talking about, and one is more specific. They're both of equal use and value, and that's why I was curious about how she was using them. And this is a perfect execution of that. It's like, wow, there's just more. It's general. I don't know every little thing about it. I don't even care. I just want to have some relief or something. Great. And then when it's something like, oh, this reminds me of da da da, and I have so many thoughts and feelings about it that I want to process, then we do the more targeted approach, if you will. So thanks for that review. I have nothing to
No, no.
criticize or comment on or change or anything, but I appreciate checking in because, not that I'm the sole arbiter of how to use tapping, but, it's one of the things that we focus on here. So really good.
So yeah, so thank you. This physical waking up with physical sensations,
Yeah.
um, and even not even just waking up with waking up with them, but sometimes they're popping up, during the day,
Hmm.
kind of what seems like spontaneously. Cause I'm just like, wait, I did something that was supposed to be good for me, and I ended up feeling like shit afterwards, right? So it's been uh a little bit of work for me, a little efforting on my part to go with that flow. I notice that I'm make it mean something.
Well, okay.
And what I'm making it mean is, like there's something wrong with me.
See, yes, I'm glad that because this is what I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
because you have to remember that the act of tapping is, I think, often similar to the act of taking a stirrer to a glass full of water that has some sand on the bottom of it that's been sitting for some time. And you
Mhm.
put the spoon or the stir in and you stir it up. And now energy is moving around. Now we'll leave that analogy behind, because when it's happening in our bodies, we don't know when we start stirring it around what's going to move and where it's going to move to. And it's not uncommon that it starts to move, it being energy related to what we're tapping about. And then for whatever reason, we don't know, or we just stop, or it and sometimes we can stop when the energy itself is still unsettled. It's left where it was and hasn't either left altogether or resettled somewhere else. I think it's not at all dissimilar to when we do physical detoxes, right? And how many people report, well, yeah, I'm doing this detox, and I'm sure by the time it's done in 10 days, I'm going to feel better. But right now in the middle, I feel really shitty because all this toxic stuff
Yes.
now that was just sitting there is in motion, and
Yeah.
it's just a little uncomfortable. So it's not uncommon for that dynamic to occur when we're tapping. The only way to know if that's what's happening is to go back and say, okay, if some of this energy still needs to move, or even though I'm feeling a little nauseous from this or a little whatever, worse than when I started, I'm choosing to see if I can move this energy or encourage it to continue to go. Or any and all energy that's unsettled in my system that needs to go somewhere, let it go, let it go, let it go. You know what I mean? Just to see, you'll know if that's the issue in a minute or two or three, because you'll sense some relief or you won't.
So, um, yes to all of that. I actually have a perfect example of that. I started acupuncture treatments
Mm-hmm. Is that
Last
new for you?
Not very new. I've done it before,
Okay.
but it's something that I've introduced recently, to
Yeah.
help me out here,
Mhm,
support me in my circulation and the chi,
mhm,
because, without putting meaning on it, just observation, I have my energy is pretty low,
mhm,
you know. Um, I, um feel little quirks in my body. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
just it's just not at 100% right now. Right
Yeah.
now. Okay.
Mhm,
I don't feel like my body is um at a place where it wants to be out in the world and vibrant and out, even though there's a part of me that is really wanting that.
mhm.
Um, there it's not the season right now.
I was gonna say, is it fair to say that, yes, you want that, you fully expect to be in that space again, just not today, not this week?
It's not right now, and I have
Yeah.
to own that.
Yes.
I have to own that, not make it wrong.
Oh, like I should be feeling that way, I should be raring to go, yeah, I should. There we go, yeah.
Remember the timeline that's come up?
Yes, yes.
Here I am like, no one's gonna put a timeline on me, but I am putting it on myself. I'm putting it on myself, and I was noticing, um, and I got some clarity about it today with another person on my care team. How I was not making it okay, that this is my season for me to a little more quiet, a little more stillness,
Mhm.
and if there is anything that gets you out and about, okay, great. But I was feeling so ornery with others, you know, and and uh, and certain people in particular, where I was feeling like, why am I feeling so much pressure? Or
Mhm,
I feel the physical sensation of, like, I don't know, charge, right?
mhm.
With certain people, even though they're not doing any, you know what I mean? Like, they're not pressuring me. They're not, you know what I mean? It's not their intention, nor are they really doing that, but it feels like that to me.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot, even though I guess, generally speaking, I wouldn't find it a lot, but maybe this is my season to really own the fact that, you know what? I do find it a lot right now. And I'm not going to sell myself out, because I'm afraid of being abandoned, being left behind, losing love and connection.
Because somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, you wanna go do something?" And you say, "No, thanks. Not today. I'll see you next
And
time."
not for a while. Like,
Well,
and
right.
not for a while. Like, it's
So this I wanna just relate this conversation to a general spiritual workout concept,
okay.
which is and full well it comes under listening to
Yes.
inspiration. So
Yes.
part of what this concept means for those of us, quote unquote, walking this path, is that we shift from wherever we've been and the rationale for doing any of the things we're doing into simply, technically, officially, eventually only acting when we feel inspired. I've heard people say when it's 100% yes, right? And so as we develop that way of being, wow, we know what it's like to just do something when we're fully inspired to do it. For me, I've seen in my own life, there are certain things, tasks, whatever. Some days I'm just like, oh God, I there's no way I want to do that. And then all of a sudden this wave comes and I'm like, and I'm doing it and I'm happy to do it and it goes easily and it's fun. And then you're like, oh, that's what it means to take inspired action versus. So this is a not just because you are quote unquote in this grief and loss mode doesn't mean that this idea doesn't apply equally right here.
Oh, well, today's session with this other care professional um helped me uh she helped me gain a little more clarity that I guess I wasn't able to get on my own with the tapping.
Mm-hmm.
Um that whole thing about not owning where I'm at,
So you're
not
saying owning,
I appreciate my inspiration, like what my higher self
yeah,
is really wanting.
right,
Due to the fear or these limiting beliefs that I have about connection and love, fear, these ideas of abandonment. If
right.
I don't go with the flow, I'm going to be left behind.
Well, no, if you don't go with what A,
Their
B,
flow,
C
their
people
flow,
there,
their flow.
exactly.
That's what I
Thank
meant.
you. Thank
Their
you.
flow,
Big
not the
difference.
flow,
Right, right,
their flow.
right.
I'm going to be left behind,
Yeah, yeah.
and it made complete sense. Because while we don't do tapping, we do NET, it's another modality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's when it hit it. Like I felt my blood changing.
All right.
Like I was like, oh, this is like the cortisol is coming up because there is this. I was like, wow, because I wasn't listening to my inspiration or following inspiration, owning it. I was more being guided by fear
Here,
or
yeah,
fearful thoughts,
right.
right?
I'm sure, yeah, yeah.
And so
So,
that I got to feel today, you
okay.
know?
Well, so
Um,
what you're calling owning, I think I would call being present to, right? I'm
yes.
being present to the fact that I don't feel like doing that thing right now. I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And being present to that idea in my language is about accepting it as it is. There's no judgment. It's just, yeah, this is where I am in this moment. I don't want to go. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Or
Or
I
I
don't want to
feel,
be engaging like that
yeah,
right now,
yeah,
like even just having, just regular schmegular conversations with people feels like a lot right now because I feel, and my cousin, thank God she mentioned this, because I was, I remember a couple of like years ago, Steven, when I showed you this video about someone speaking about people who need a lot of alone time and how that could mean certain things that about how what you believe about your relating with others, like you're not
mm-hmm,
feeling safe with others, people fucking up my program, that kind of thing. And I was saying to you that like, oh, I feel like some of my charge in engaging with others feels a little bit like, beliefs that I have about other people fucking on my program or that
mm-hmm,
kind of thing. And I needed to work that out.
mm-hmm.
But my cousin told me today, she was like, look, I agree with that to a certain extent. At the same time, there are periods in life where you need that alone time. You know what I mean? Because engaging with others in a regular way
Mm-hmm.
um, can feel like multitasking.
Well, to
And
me, it boils down to
that's all
intention,
of
but
that.
we cannot listen to inspiration if we don't have alone time. You can't. You
Yeah,
can't hear it. You,
really?
yeah. I mean, over time, you can't be around people all day, every day, around input, around have no silent, quiet time and expect to listen to inspiration. It's going to be much more challenging. Now, what you said something in this piece about needing alone time, but there's a difference between desiring, cultivating, creating alone time for the purpose of being uninterrupted, for the purpose of connecting with spirit, for the purpose of connecting with self, for the purpose of all of that. That is very different intention-wise than
Yes.
I can't deal with people, so therefore
I
I
need to
need
protect my
alone time.
I need to
And
protect
so
my peace
that is,
and
yeah,
yeah.
I'm somebody who needs a ton of alone, who craves and desires and creates a lot of alone time for himself, but not for those reasons at all. So it's
Right.
all intention. It's about intention.
Yes.
What
And
is it?
and I could, and that's what I was trying to explain to my cousin, that and to another friends of mine, that it's not I know internally the line,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
there's sometimes a line where it's like I desire this because I need this, right
right,
now,
right.
which is where I feel like I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also been times where I felt like I was kind of avoiding,
All
protecting,
right.
that kind of energy that I
Yes.
could sense,
Mm-hmm.
calculating, right? Like just I
Mm-hmm.
could sense like just not feeling safe, feeling
Mm-hmm.
like oh, fuck on my program, that kind of thing, where that's at work, right?
Yes.
So, but that's not what's happening right now. What's happening right now is inspiration is telling me and telling me through my body,
Because
telling me through
you
my
are
body,
body aware, and that's where spirit will find you
like
wherever you are.
telling
And
me
if
through
you
my body,
say I'm in my body, spirit will find you in your body.
like today's session with this person, really helped me see how important it is right now for me. Well, all the time, but especially right now for me to pay a lot of attention to that listening to inspiration.
Good. And the other thing, let's just say, everything's energy, and we all can contain. I think you even said the word multitasking in this conversation, right? You are still, quote unquote, processing a lot of material. You
Yeah.
have been, and you still are. And as you said on Monday, it entered a different phase. It's got a different flavor to it. And so, therefore, there's even more to process and assimilate and see. Oh, wow, okay, I've been doing this for many, many months, and now I've got this other piece that's now here, right? So, making room, what you were talking about in terms of owning that space for right now to do less and respond less to the outside world is also, I would say, a result of and commensurate with your continuation of processing what you're processing. Next year at this time, it won't be the same.
Right. Right.
And
And
this is the time to do it. The fact that this whole project of these sessions that we've been doing and you have chosen to record so that other people can benefit is uh, is you processing through the whole thing in real time as it's happening, so that in the future, when you are thinking about your mom, when you were thinking about the period of time when, she went from being just fine to not, to then leaving, right? It's not always going to be the way it is now. And you'll be able to look back and with, well, I don't want to predict anything. It's your journey and it'll be. But, assuming you go along the way that you're going, the whole reason to be doing this is to reach a point in your life where you don't have to do all this all the time because you've already done it. Doing this meaning processing your experience. And right now you're moving into the space to process the parts that you didn't get to
yeah,
process last year because your focus was on your mom, your focus was on
right.
your family, your focus was on her and who and what she needed and all of that. And now you're getting an opportunity which is not at all uncommon. I see it more and more and more and more and more in my own practice and working with people on bereavement, etc. Not etc., but specifically, that it's not uncommon. I wrote a whole chapter about this in my own experience of like the calendar. It's like
Yeah.
you said, I'm not trying to set it up and make it, but here it is. It's like, oh, there's some sort of inner calendar that we have.
Well, this
That's
was,
sort of,
yeah, the inner calendar, like energetic calendar. Um, One of the things that's been coming up is like the whole, essentially, we were saying goodbye,
mhm,
and um, what, just really feeling those feelings.
yeah. And for anybody listening, so Delilah is starting to feel those feelings now because, as we were just saying, last year, she had a lot else to tend to. We always do
When they
when
found the mass
we
and
are,
trying to get, biopsy and diagnosis, it's
yeah,
like the first thing you're not be like, okay, she gonna die. Like, you
right.
don't do that,
You
right?
don't.
Well, we didn't do that,
But it hovers usually for people, but
Yeah,
it's not what they want to talk about. And then at the end of the day, you've given so much energy to her and doctors and taking in information and doing it that you don't take the time in that moment to say, okay, Delilah, what do I need? What do I, that's okay. And so here we are a year later, and it's time for that now, and it's appropriate, and it's not too late by any stretch.
yeah, yeah, and it's like there'll just be some uh episodes, some memories of just like that whole process of telling people, like when she told her siblings.
Yeah.
um yeah, it's just like, and just like what I was seeing my mom, like now I can, right? Because back then it was just focused, like, all right, she's trying to fight or whatever,
Yeah.
uh Project Healthy,
Project Healthy. So you're not only focused on her, dealing with your brother and your extended family and all of it, but you're also taking in on her behalf, quite frankly, so much information,
Yeah.
you know, uh, in order to make sound decisions and helping her to make the best decisions for herself,
Yeah.
and
I mean, she
probably
was
doing
like,
some
"Oh,
of
should
that.
I stay working from home?" And she was like,
Mhm.
she tried it one
I
day and it was
remember.
like, "I
Yeah.
can't do this shit,"
I
And,
remember.
just her really trying. Um, yeah, just her really trying, and she would tell me like, "I'm trying, Delilah," "She's trying." And that she didn't want me to be disappointed in her,
Exactly.
for not being able to, you know, overcome this, I guess.
And that little piece of everybody doing their bit to take care of everybody else in the sweetest possible way. She doesn't want you to be disappointed. You don't want to
And
disappoint
I told
her.
you, I was like,
You know,
"Mom," yeah. I was just like, "Mom, please," like, this is not.
right.
Um, yeah, so, there's just like a lot that I wasn't really uh able to get into back then.
Mhm.
That now I feel like, there's a little more space
Yeah.
for me
There's
to do
a lot more
that.
space.
And I think my body is my body, my heart, soul is telling me like, take the space. Just like
Yes.
really take the
You're not
space.
going to lose your friends. You're not
No.
going to lose your opportunity to live a life. This
Yeah.
is part of your life. This is part of your life.
And
And this is the time to deal with this. How do we know? Because you're being told, you're being shown.
yeah. And another layer today that I came privy to was that in a way, like this taking the space and listening and following inspiration,
Hmm.
my self, capital S, not going where everyone else's flow or whatever, um, is also like, I think inspiration from, you know, seeing my mom not doing that for a while in her life, like essentially selling herself out to stay in love or connected, selling herself out for fear of abandonment. And um, it was just kind of nice to see that in a way. This is like a blessing that I'm able to use this experience to not do that, do
Yes,
something
to heal that dynamic in
fine.
your lineage.
Yes. Yeah. Which I think is what my mom would want me to do.
Well, she was doing it in her way in the time that she had while she was
Yeah.
here. I'm sure she's continuing to do it where
Yeah.
she is, and you can do it now for your part. And every little bit of it contributes to it for the whole line. That's
Yeah.
just based on the idea, that crazy idea that there's no past and future. It's all happening in
Right.
one moment. And
Yeah.
even though we experience absolute past and future here in our human experiences, there's no doubt about it. And yet, soul level wise, it's all at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's um uh really eye-opening, to see how that all works out. um because I was just like I was making it wrong that I wasn't feeling the
Well,
joy, vitality, and engagement in the world and, creativity and all that. Like that's a desire. Those are core desires,
yeah,
right? Um,
yes,
but it's okay that right now you're not necessarily at that place. Mhm. Not trying to force it, not
right.
trying to force it, not trying to make myself wrong if my body starts tensing up whenever, someone like makes a suggestion to like meet up or something. And I'm like, oh my God. Or even with my husband, God bless him. Like, he's making all these plans and stuff. And I'm like, you know, taking it as pressure. And then I start feeling your favorite word, guilty, about feeling pressure over his good deeds. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
but it's like a fear of like abandonment there too, And the fact of the matter is that, I have really great family, really great friends, really great community, a great husband, and there really in reality is no fear of abandonment there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and the word that you haven't mentioned yet, the acronym, uh, I think baked into this is FOMO, also, right?
Yes, the missing out. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that came
so
up
this
too.
is again where I say all the time, spiritual workouters don't have FOMO. Why?
Yeah.
Because we believe that we're always right where we're supposed to be. There are no accidents. Now, it doesn't mean we wouldn't rather be at the concert with our friends if we had our druthers, as they say, but it does mean that on a soul level, there's no need to be at the concert with our friends. Because if there were, we would be there.
And that's what this other care professional said to me, because I was like, I'm feeling like I'm in a state of ambivalence because on the one hand, there's a part of me that's like, yes, let's do it, right? And then there's this other part of me that's like, no, we're not doing that right now, girl.
Right.
Like, no, and it like usurps that other part
It's
because
stronger. Yes.
it's so strong. And so I said that to her, and she was like, if you were really on board, like if your higher self was really on board with that, you would do it.
Exactly. That's another way of saying the
Simple.
same thing. Yeah.
The same what you just said, Steven,
Yes.
you know?
Exactly.
This is why you all are part of my care team, because you guys all,
Well, clearly you don't need me anymore, so have a good one.
it's like overlap. There's overlapping stuff there, you know?
Good.
But it was just really nice to really pinpoint
Well, good.
what
And
was so unsettling, inside of me. Like I could not
because of the other beliefs, and that's what I was just going to say is let's also, I'm just going to take a moment to re-simplify everything, because all of the stuff that we're talking about here is still ultimately rooted in beliefs. So Delilah
absolutely,
has some beliefs. I'm going to miss out. I'll be abandoned. I'll lose my friends. I've done it.
absolutely.
All very
All
legitimate,
beliefs.
okay thoughts to have. And she's done enough of this kind of work, and she's working with other people to be able to see, okay, well, that's what I'm believing. Is it true? Kind of true, but not really, and da da da. And at the end of the day, which idea feels better? Saying no or jumping in? Well, today it feels better to say no. And now that I've worked out, I, Delilah, have worked out my resistance to saying no, it feels a lot better, and I'm okay with it. And this is the changing of belief. That's all it is.
Now,
At the
don't
end
get
of the
me
day.
wrong. And maybe this is requiring some more working out. Because we did as much as we could in the time, with the NET stuff.
Mhm.
However, that whole idea of like, if I don't get on board, I'm going to be left behind,
Mhm.
still percolates a little
Okay.
bit.
So you
And
have
the
an
missing
opportunity.
out, and the missing out, a
Mhm.
little percolation, a little
That's
percolate.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Almost none of us turn on a dime. I'm
Yeah.
all for spontaneous healings, as they're fun to see when they happen, but
I'm
they
open to them.
almost, and even the spontaneous ones that look like it usually have a lot of precursor
Yes.
work ahead of them. But that's neither
A lot
here
of
nor
priming.
there. So what you're talking about here is you're still in the transition, if you will, of letting go of an old set of beliefs and taking on the new ones. The new ones are more appealing. You get them, and yet you're just not fully all the way there yet. That's okay. That's what living life is all about,
I
and
mean, this
playing
is
around
also
with it.
like ancestral too, right? So it's like,
Well, that's why I love in the tapping, no matter what it is, however far back it goes, all that, right? I mean, we can sort of cover that idea. But give yourself, just be compassionate with yourself a little bit here
yeah.
and say, wow, I used to believe all this old stuff firmly, and I didn't have any other ideas. Now I have a whole bunch of new ideas that really make a lot more sense. I'm more inclined to them, and I know what it feels like to be in them and aligned with them. But there's still part of me that's still got this old stuff. That's okay. That's just because where you are in taking the temperature today. That's all. It's a snapshot today, but it's not where you'll be. You're still in the process of letting go of the old belief and fully inhabiting the new. And again, could that happen on a dime? Sure, everything's possible, but it usually doesn't. That's why I call the work I do a
Yeah,
workout.
it was pretty awesome because today I saw how, how I was telling you that there are like some specific dynamics, people that bring up a little more charge for me in
Mm-hmm.
this arena. And, part of this work that I do with this other care professional is kind of like muscle testing, kind of going back
Mm-hmm.
to the root of it. In
Mm-hmm.
your case, you would ask me, do you find this familiar?
Right. Right.
Right. And it was
Yeah. Well, there you go. So
over
right
20
there,
years ago.
before,
Over 20 years ago.
I totally get it.
And I
It's,
was like, when we went there, I was like, wow, I could feel the cortisol, like I could feel the chemistry in my body changing to that, like,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, no wonder I've been feeling like this when I'm interacting.
Yeah.
One of them is my husband, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was like when I go in the same room, I'm like, why am I feeling like this? And I'm like, I don't want to feel like um what's the word? Like averse to my husband. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like not making me feel good that I was feeling like that way around him. But then today I realized the beliefs that were at work before the 20 years ago.
Exactly. And
And yeah,
so as a result of that, I'm going to offer up a thought that you might want to embrace, which
yeah,
is, as I process the loss of my mom from my physical life, I am seeing opportunities to excavate some old material that has nothing to do with my mother.
or well, not directly.
Not directly.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
that this experience of her
Yes.
departure and my processing it is showing me other things that it's time to let go of. In
Yes.
other words, that thing we talk about, using the experiences of our lives
Yes.
as the vehicles for growth that they are. And here's an example where Delilah's saying, yeah, this stuff goes back 20 years. And sure, it's related to my mom in some ways, but it's not really about my mom specifically. It's not specifically about her dying last
No.
fall.
Right. Right.
It's as I process an experience in my life of loss in this way, I'm seeing how my old stuff is right here, some of it, to release now. Why? Because it's time. Why is that? Because how do we know that? Because that's what's here, you know? And the processing of our stuff does not typically go in a linear fashion. It just doesn't seem to do that. You know, how many times you're talking about 20-year stuff, you know, I went through stuff and it's like, I haven't had dealt with this in 30 years, you know, and here it all was right in my face, right? Why did it have to wait? I don't know. That's the way it happened,
That's the way it
right?
happened.
And so, but this is a little mini commercial for the whole idea and the rationale for not putting things in a compartment and in a box and on a shelf, but for
Right.
processing life as it happens, because it will only produce growth for us. That's what all of our experiences are for.
That's why I brought up that whole other layer and almost like a blessing, because it feels like I'm sort of healing that lineage, you know, that
Yes, you
that part
are.
of my family, my maternal family
Yes,
line
yes,
that doesn't serve us,
right.
right?
Your
This
mom
whole
knew that. She was starting to do it. Like we say, maybe her mom didn't have the conscious awareness of it. I don't know. I have no idea. Or others in the family. I really
they
don't know.
deal with things differently, you know, like my
Well, that
yeah.
would make sense.
Yeah. Yes, of course, you know, there are
Yeah,
different people, different eras, you
yeah.
know, that
Right.
kind of
Different perspectives, different, right.
yes. Yeah. So, but they did exercise their sovereignty
Yeah,
different ways,
yeah.
you know? Yes, they may have sold themselves out to a certain extent with respect to that,
Hmm.
but they also exercise their sovereignty in other ways,
Yeah.
you know, maybe a little more ambiguously.
Well, right.
You know, like my
Right.
grandmother, my maternal grandmother,
Yeah.
like, even though she withstood, endured some, you know, not so great stuff, especially with her dealings with men, and the way she related to others.
Hmm.
At the same time, she would also do whatever she felt like doing.
Yeah.
too. Like she would
Yeah.
go to the casinos and take the, you know, bus over there, and like no one was gonna tell her shit.
Right. Right.
She'd just be like wandering around doing her own thing, you know? Same thing with my mom.
Right.
While my mother didn't,
Walking around.
part ways with my dad when I wanted her to,
Right.
10 years later, she did it and she led a great life. Like, don't forget that part of it, you know? I tell myself.
Yeah.
Two things I wanted to bring
Please.
up. One, I think is like kind of a physical, like a weird example of this, of the whole like um using this experience for as a vehicle for personal growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And expansion. Um, I'm finding this period of time and this new found clarity on this right now really interesting, the timing of it, because I just realized that there's a physical characteristic that my mom and my maternal family line has dealt with. I'll just
Mm-hmm.
be open about it right now because it's not a big deal. But we always like um had this characteristic of like having what we thought was like stubborn fat cellulite on our legs,
Okay.
right? And no matter what I did, right? Just personally speaking, no matter what I did, diet, exercise, lifting, sculpting, whatever, it would always still have this stubborn fat and cellulite on there, right? And so I would say for about 30 years, I was believing this. And pretty much all the women on my family line were believing this, that like, oh my God, I'm cellulite. I'm making themselves wrong. Like they're not eating properly. They're
Mm-hmm.
not whatever properly. And come to find out in this last week that that's not what it was. That actually it's a whole different condition
Hmm.
that requires a whole set of different activities and is not something that is like, bitch, you're not exercising enough. You're not doing that. It's
Right.
not that at all. It's just requiring a different type of attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's lipedema, which is a whole different, it's like a connective tissue type of thing. So you need
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more of like massage and lymph.
Facial and
Yes. Yeah. Dry
fascial.
brushing and all that
Um,
stuff, and I
so
just
before
decided.
you even say another word, this is how beliefs matter. It doesn't matter what's true. It matters what we believe, because we will experience what we believe until we change our belief to something else.
I just thought it was fascinating that for over 30 years, and then obviously my family line, like more,
Mm-hmm.
were thinking that like I'm fucking
Doing
up.
something
I
wrong. Yeah.
can't, there's something wrong with me. Like, I don't understand why I keep having this stubborn thing when I'm doing all the things, like this whole thing that just sort of feeds into I'm not enough, right? Like the belief, right?
Right.
And it turns out to be a whole different thing, and it I don't know how necessary, I can't really articulate how, but for me it just seems like a physical example of what I'm experiencing right now in
Yeah.
terms of transformation and healing that family line. I was like, wow, like literally it was like over 30 years of feeling like this. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, so not everyone feels pain when they get massaged in their legs, huh? Like, I don't, like I was, it was just like, wow. So that was one thing I wanted to bring up. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up was like, I'm not sure. Yes, it was before or after our last session, but I had a very vivid dream with my
Mm-hmm.
mom in it. And I haven't had one since. And I think it's because I put a lot of like fearful thoughts on top of it and stuff. But
A little steamroller action.
yeah. I had a dream where I saw my mom. I was in this like small, unfamiliar office. I don't know where this office, I've never seen this office before, but it was in there, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
remember it distinctly. It's a small office, with different offices, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw my mom from the back and I was like, Mom, and in the dream, I was aware that she had passed away, right? Like in the dream, I was like aware that she had passed away. And so I was like, Mom. And then I went in a little bit further into the office and I was kind of like in this other small office that was directly across the office that she was in. And so she turns toward me, and I don't remember her saying anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? But she was just very relaxed and very chill. And I remember saying to her, "Mom, is that you? Is this really you?" And I don't remember her responding, but she was just kind of like, in her office, like doing her office things, and just charming, really nice. The next scene was her speaking with one of her sisters, which is like one of
Still
my
in the office?
still in
Or,
the office, and they were speaking to each other as if I wasn't around,
hmm.
right? And so this aunt is the mother of a very close cousin of mine, that they're kind of estranged, you
Hmm.
know? So when I told my cousin about this dream, I think this is where I kind of got I got a little rocky, okay? Because when I told my cousin about this dream, I was thinking that maybe I've never dreamt about this aunt before, ever, right? I don't think I've dreamt about any of my mother's siblings, but okay. But I've never dreamt about this aunt before. And when I woke up from the dream, I felt like almost like reassured. Like I felt good because it was like really chill. My mom seemed like how I would see her in her office, like really
Mm-hmm.
like really relaxed, really chill, content. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I woke up feeling like relief and reassured, right? And yes, I did find it interesting that my aunt was in there, but I was thinking that I was due to get on a call with that cousin, her daughter,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe that's why she came up. But when I talked to my cousin, she said that she had a dream a couple of nights ago that was not great. It was like a nightmare with her mother and her mother's husband, her stepdad. And that her stepdad was ill and he ended up trying to stab my cousin in this dream of hers. So she had kind of put out there this idea of like, I'm going to ask my brother to check on my mom to see if there's anything going on because I had this dream. So then I went into this place of like, my family sometimes have like dream premonitions. Like my other aunt, when my mom told her that she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, stage 4, my aunt told her, this other aunt, not the same one, but this other aunt told her that she had a dream with my great grandmother holding my mom like a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of like soothing her,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so she brought that up after she found out about the diagnosis, and it was almost like a premonition type of dream. And so that's when the relief and the relief and the reassurance that I felt from that dream turned into like, wait, is this a premonition? Is something gonna happen to me?
But see, do you not hear the choice that you have in terms of what to believe? This is part of living consciously, literally
Listening
choosing
to
on
inspiration.
purpose what to believe. And say
Yeah.
what?
And listening to inspiration because I
Right.
felt relief, I
That
felt reassurance,
exactly.
and then
Exactly.
I
And this is
got
what
this
we say all the time. I
information.
used the term steamroller earlier because Delilah knows what I mean by that. And what we mean by that is people say, well, I don't know. I can't feel my inspiration. I don't hear it. I don't know what it is. And then they'll report something that's clearly they got some hit, right? Some intuitive hit, something in
Yeah.
their gut that they felt a real certain something. And then the steamroller is 1 nanosecond after that. Here comes all the doubt, the worry, the fear, the wondering, was that really what I thought it was? And then we've smothered it. We've completely smothered the moment of the inspiration. So what we learn to do in spiritual workout is beep, 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 back that steamroller off, find that little spark that's still there and stoke that mother so that it comes into a bonfire.
Yeah.
And
I
that's our
I spoke about it with some other folks on my care team, and they pretty
Mhm.
much did the same thing of like, go with the relief, go with
Also,
the reassurance, you know?
your cousin's dream is not related to yours. Even if you two are related and some of the characters and the dreams are the same. But I just find I'm hard pressed to believe that it works that way. Now, if
Mhm,
she received it as a premonition, that's her own world. That doesn't mean anything about the message that you got and the feeling you got. Delilah, you actually answered the question I would have asked. You know, I'm not a dream analysis person by any
right.
stretch, but the question that I would ask anybody when they awake from a dream is, how do you feel? Or how did you feel in the dream? How do
Mhm.
you feel as you reflect back on it? And the fact that, when did this happen? More than a week ago? This
Yeah,
dream?
this probably like this happened after our last session.
So so probably maybe more like 2 weeks at
Yeah.
least.
Mhm.
So how often do we wake up, have a dream, and then I can't remember it, right? It's already gone. And so a dream that sticks around like this, that doesn't fade in memory, that is still vivid, that can still be replayed as though it just happened, doesn't mean nothing. I'm hesitant to say what it means, but the fact it feels and sounds like some sort of a message because of
Mhm.
its sustaining, it's some sort of an inspirational, it's in that realm. It has to be because it's staying. And
Mhm.
messages from spirit tend to stay with us. Doesn't mean we don't lose one, but if we lose one, it'll come again if it needs to, right? Um, yeah, if that were me, I'd go back to that reassured
And
place.
I
It's
did.
funny, as you were describing, and again, I really hesitate to say anything because it's your dream and I have nothing to say about it. But as you were describing it, I just kept getting one message. It was like, I'm here. I'm here. Just living my regular life.
That's
I'm here.
that's what I felt, because it was a very calm,
Exactly.
a very calm
Regular.
type of dream,
Regular. You're
very
just doing
regular,
that thing
and
here.
very much like her essence.
Yeah.
Like, she would be in an
Yeah.
off like, the picture that I saw
Yes.
in the dream was like her essence at the
Yes.
office.
And what matters again and again and again and again, to smother or to de-emphasize anything I'm saying, is your feeling as a result of having had this dream.
Yeah.
The reassurance, the other things you said. And that's
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely was like, happy, thank you, more, please. Like,
Good. Good.
because to be honest with you, and maybe it's because of just, feeling a little clouded and
Well, yeah, a lot has
rocky
going
these
on.
past couple of weeks
Hmm.
after that dream. I haven't felt the connection, as much. Because that was a very apparent connection,
Well, there you go. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Like, it was a very apparent connection. So I'm like, happy, thank you, more, please.
Yeah.
And I need to allow that stillness, that quiet for
Yes.
that.
Yes. It will help in
Listen to my
general.
body, listen to inspiration.
Please. Please and thank you.
Is that right? Listen to your body? Because sometimes,
Yes.
the body holds that density and it could be the last to go. Yeah.
But yeah, mind and body are connected. Start to pay attention to, how does it feel when you think in terms of that feeling of reassuring?
Mhm.
And where does, go to
Light.
that feeling and then feel it in your body because you are so body sensitive, you know? And then listening to inspiration. So, I'm a guy who lives in his head. Inspiration comes in my head. Spirit's going to find me where I am. Like we were saying before, you are so much in your body. Spirit's going to, so you can start to, as you grow your listen to inspiration muscle, which is what we're all doing in this practice anyway, And what happens within that? Is it the same for all of us? Absolutely not. Is it similar for some ones of us? Sure. But ultimately, it's unique to each of us. What's unique is how we receive our guidance, how we receive inspiration, how we receive communication from from people we know who have crossed over to the other side, from spirit guides, from who knows, whoever, right? Whoever we're communicating with, whether we know who it is or not. And so this is an opportunity for you to start to practice that. And this is where, and I know you know this, looking back on an experience like that dream, how it felt afterwards, how it kind of got smothered, but how it's still there. That's what you're learning to get used to and to trust. And to see, oh, wow, that really, there's no way I'm going to have a dream about my mom, wake up feeling reassured and want even more that isn't related to her communicating with me. I can say that, but you're the only one who can really say that.
Right. Right.
And this is how you learn, just by practicing.
Yeah.
Living some life.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. So yeah, that's been life in a nutshell these past couple of weeks.
All right. And again, continue, you know, if I'm you, just continue to honor, to realize, wow, there's material happening that came on this week. This is exactly a year since it all kind of started. And thank you for the room and space to process today, now, these days, what I didn't have the wherewithal to do a year ago. Easy enough.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one last thing before we go, because this is like, I'm not really sure how much this idea is affecting me. I think it is definitely affecting me somewhat. It's the whole timeline, right? And yes, a lot of the time it feels like a self-imposed timeline, right? But informed by how other people, you know, informed by what others may think about the timeline, not just like it coming out of nowhere within me, like I need to be over this by this, you know. It's kind of informed because of some of the, for example, I remember my husband, and maybe I'm just being very, you know, I'm just sensitive right now to this whole thing, but I just remember his talking to a relative of his, and you know, I guess the relative had asked how I was doing, you know, after the fact. This is like maybe like a month ago, right? And so my husband was like, you know, she'll have her moments, you know, where she, you know, she's not feeling so great and stuff. And then he says, you know, it hasn't even really been a year yet. And I kind of took it.
You heard him say that?
Yeah.
To them?
Yes. Okay. And, you know, I took it. You could just take that simple, like it just hasn't been a year. Like you even said this yourself, like Delilah, it hasn't even been a year yet. Like you know, right. I could have taken like that, but I think I took it a little bit like, oh, once the year comes up,
your time is up.
My time is up.
Better be done.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that going on for me.
All right, I'd be tapping on that right now.
Okay.
I don't mean this minute, but this week. Just don't let that grow bigger than it already is.
No. Yeah. I think that there's something of that at work because I'm sensitive. I was sensitive to that. Yeah. Statement.
I saw where this was going as soon as you said that. Yeah. It's like,
yeah, it was just like, because it hasn't been a year. And so,
and we are conditioned.
That too. Like when I was emoting, when I was emoting, this is like last year, okay, when this barely happened or whatever. And so I was emoting, you know, over something. And my brother even said, he was like, you know, it's totally fine. I mean, this just barely happened or whatever. He's like, now, if you're like the same, you know, like this a year from now or something, then maybe. And so that's when you know, like there's a little.
You know, the only response to that is, yeah, it's been a year. Yeah, it's been 14 months. Yeah, it's been 15 months. Who cares? Who freaking cares? I mean, this is really what it boils down to. And I know it's easy for me to say in this regard, but it's really just the belief. I should be over it by now, or I'll get over it in. I don't even like the term over it. I'm through this now, or I'm not. I still have a ways to go, or I feel complete with it. You know, and you'll feel complete when you feel complete.
Yeah. This is
Especially
part
with
of
an
the whole
intention.
listening to your inspiration
Yes,
and not
and
going
not being
with
on
their
everybody
flow.
else's calendar. Right.
Yes.
I mean, I flipped out when I saw a formula, an actual formula with numbers attached that said, your bereavement, nobody knows who you are and who the hell are the people who are saying this, and it applies to everyone. And it was a formula from psychotherapists and psychologists. Said, okay, if you've been, for every year you've been together with the person, this is, I
No.
guess, for spousal loss and grief, whatever.
Why do people do this?
I'm not kidding you. I almost exploded because it was so horrifying to me. But it was like that. It's like, well, okay, for every 5 years, it should be whatever the numbers were. I, of course, didn't retain them, but that's what it was. Pardon me?
What's the intention behind that? Why would they want to do? Why did they feel the need to put up a formula?
You know why I believe they do? Because most people, as we said from day one of this project, and we continue to say, most of us in our culture, in our various cultures, within our American culture, to say nothing of our global human culture, I can't speak too far beyond my culture, we suck at processing death. Yeah. We don't like it. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to say. So all we ever want is for people to have some sense that people are done with it, because we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to hang out in it. We don't want to be polluted by it. We being generally speaking. We can't tolerate it. It's hard to tolerate. So, okay, she's seeing somebody. She's in therapy. Good. Okay. Then she'll get over it. And, well, it's been almost a year. We'll give her a few more minutes. And then seriously, that's kind of the attitude that hasn't changed, that I've seen since I've looked closely at this subject for the last 20 years. I haven't seen it change one iota, which is why I continue to do my little piece on this subject, because we have a long way to go in terms of being comfortable with. I think it's all stems from discomfort with anything that's unresolved in that way. We're not resolving it so much ourselves necessarily culturally, but we want to know that people are kind of doing it and wrap it up and put a little bow on it. Oh yeah, Delilah's mom died a year ago. She was in therapy. She did this grief and loss project, so she's good. That's what people want to believe.
Right.
And if it's anything other than that, it makes them uncomfortable.
Done.
Right. And if it's not, it doesn't look like it's done, it makes them uncomfortable because they can't do it themselves. So that's just where we are in this moment.
This author on grief had mentioned that part of the issue with people not being so comfortable about this subject is because in this culture and US culture, it's kind of, we're obsessed with like winning.
Yeah.
You know, and grieving, loss or whatever doesn't feel like winning. So we're like doing whatever we can to get it over with so we can get back to winning. You know what I mean? And
we also,
like, yes.
Yeah. We also, you know, our whole culture is built on denial, right?
Yeah.
We're all created equal, right? Except we're not going to treat everybody equally. So we're going
Right.
to deny that we said that. We're going to
Hypocrite.
deny that that's what our whole
Hypocrisy.
system is based on. And then, or we're going to deny that these people exist. We're going to deny, we excel at denial. So when it comes to anything uncomfortable, death, grief, loss, oh my God, just get it done. Get it done.
Mhm,
Go take care
mhm.
of yourself and then come back and
Yeah, like,
join.
figure it out, handle
Yeah,
it,
right.
and then,
Yeah.
this better be
And
done
keep
'cause
me
I
out
don't.
of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So this is why what you're
Okay.
doing is really, it's good for you, obviously, and it's good for everybody. You're helping to, bushwhack a path.
I think, so this particular aspect of what I think is a more general feeling of like, okay, listen to your inspiration, your higher self here, your self capital S, go with that flow.
Please.
Okay. You don't need to go with their flow. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have, and this particular aspect of the timeline,
Mhm.
is a more specific thing to address right now too. Because it's in
It's
there,
okay.
and the reason
So
why
let's
it's in
just,
there is because I was sensitive to those statements, so I
yeah,
know that there's
yeah,
something active.
right.
Otherwise I would have been like, oh,
I'll be done when I'm done.
he's just stating the fact that
Right.
I
Yeah.
wasn't that
That's a
hasn't
year.
even been a year,
Right.
right?
Hasn't
But
been
not
a year.
that he was
Exactly.
trying to explain why I was still crying sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Or my
Well,
brother, you know,
and it points to the idea that even if we're going through our process in what you and I might call a healthy way, it doesn't mean we're all doing it on the exact same timetable anyway, or in the exact same way. We're not. Some people might move through it very quickly while others take more time. Very quickly and more time are just relative terms anyway. What does that even mean? It means it just takes whatever amount of time it takes.
one more thing, because it's making me think about this with respect to my brother. So, August 4th marked 9 months since my
Right.
mom passed away. And every month, every fourth of the month,
Mm-hmm.
which marks the
Yeah.
months since my mom
Month
passed away,
anniversary.
I would reach out to my brother over text or something, be like, oh, today marks, this month or whatever. And just like make a statement about where I'm at or something inspirational, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this time around, um, the thought of my not wanting to initiate that conversation with my brother, uh, led the way for me this time.
Okay.
And I thought about, well, why, right? Like, why did you not want to share that, 9 months,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there is a little part of me that's feeling like I don't, not that I don't want to bring my brother down, but I don't want to be, I guess, that person that's like bringing up the heavy stuff and he's
Mm-hmm.
not there. He's in another
Right.
place.
Right. Well, and to me, it's also evidence of what you're doing. You're not going to stay in the same place all the time. You're not always going to feel the same way, have the same thoughts about what's going, because if you were, you'd be stagnating, and you're not stagnating, you're moving through. You're healing from, right?
Mhm,
You're
mhm,
processing.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so, of course, things are going to start to evolve and shift and change, especially that kind of thing. That's where you're going to start to notice it. So I would frankly expect that, you might feel differently on the next fourth of the next month. And that's okay, because you're taking it one day at a time and honoring where you are at any given moment. You're not just doing something because you did it before. You're
Yeah, yeah.
rethinking it. Your thoughts are different. That action looks and feels a little different than it did before.
I felt like I wanted to process on my own in a way,
Yes.
like not
Well,
necessarily I feel like sharing, I guess.
whatever the shift is and is
Yeah.
its own thing, but the fact that it's shifting is evidence of everything you're doing in this project, which is intending to process it as you go, uh, learn from it as you go and grow. And because of that, things will not stay the same. They shouldn't. They're not supposed to. Staying the same is stagnation. Stagnation is the antithesis of healing.
Is there
And
anything problematic about my feeling like I don't want to weigh my brother down? If, like, for example, I'm in a sad place, right?
mhm,
And, like, if I were to, I was thinking about calling him and telling him, you know, like, talking about how this is around this time,
mhm,
that everything started and how I feel like it's affecting me,
mhm,
sharing it with someone that was right there with me, with all
mhm.
of it.
Yeah.
But then there was this part of me that also felt like I didn't wanna, like, weigh my brother down. I didn't want to, I don't know if I felt self-conscious about where I was. I don't know, but it just there
All
was
right.
this feeling.
So
Yeah.
we're veering into, and now this is just generic. It's not even about grief and loss. It's not even just about, right? This is where it's going to be about intention. Why
Okay,
would I say something to him? Why wouldn't I?
okay,
So measuring that, listening to inspiration, which feels better, which feels more resonant, right? And if neither do, then when in doubt, don't, is what I always say. But
got
then
it.
you're veering into also, frankly, taking responsibility for his experience.
Right. That's what I
And
was
that
like,
you don't
I
want to be
asked
doing.
you the problematic part
That's,
of it because
yeah,
I was
that's
like, I
exactly. It's
feel like
only problematic because you're taking responsibility for his experience of
yeah,
whatever you might say. When in fact, if you are clear intended, all you owe another person, I don't care who it is, all you owe is truth and honesty. I'm saying
okay,
this just because I want to share this with you,
okay,
period.
okay.
Make sense?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how I, that's how spiritual workout would
Yeah, yeah, no,
operate.
I felt solid about the 4th of this month,
Yeah.
like I told my husband, I was like, normally I would reach out every month,
Yeah.
that passes, and especially like this month is a little different, right? However, I didn't really feel like sharing that. I felt like, you know what,
Yeah.
let me just deal with this on my own and
Right.
that kind of thing,
Yes.
Um, but yet I was still having some discomfort about, how I was feeling about that. But you've brought it to light. Like, okay, yeah. What's the intention?
Yeah. Why would I say this to him? Why wouldn't I? Why would I
Right.
call him on the fourth? Why wouldn't I? Even though I have all the other fourths, right? And so just weigh that out. Just feel your way through that,
Yeah.
and don't take responsibility for somebody else's
Yeah,
experience.
exactly. Like I can't weigh him down. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
And you
he's
might give him an option. I mean, I'm not inside your relationship, but I have a sense of it. And it doesn't matter. These kinds of things are always relationship dependent. It's like, well, it's my brother. So I can do this with him. I wouldn't do it with my husband, or I wouldn't do it
right.
with my friend, or I would, so part of that's going to come into play also,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're the only two humans on the planet who are the progeny and the offspring of your
Mhm.
mom. You're the
Mhm.
only two who grew up with her as your mom.
Mhm.
So you will always forever have that connection,
Yeah.
and how you navigate that with each other is how you'll do it, how you've done it, and how you'll continue to do it.
I think it's also really fascinating how, we're 10 years apart, right?
I know.
So, um, my mom was sort of raising me in her 20s
Right.
while she was raising my brother in her
Yeah,
30s.
yeah, which is a huge difference.
A major,
Yeah.
major difference, right?
Not to
And
mention the differences of first child, second child, all those things too.
absolutely. Also gender too, right?
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
a little bit of difference there. in terms of how she approached the child rearing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that that also plays a part in how we are processing
Why
this.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, I think it plays a huge part
Yeah.
in it, just in terms of like what has stuck with me and what I'm working out
Hmm.
versus what he's experiencing,
Yeah.
you know, because of a different, just different dynamics, different
Yeah.
experiences of our
Absolutely.
mother, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Thank you, Stephen. Once again, this has been, I mean, today was a great day of working
Yeah. You've had a day.
out. Yeah, I mean, this is great because it's like what we are talking about. It's aligning, applying, living, aligning, applying, living, aligning, applying, living. Like this is giving me, you know, some time to live, apply, align, live, apply, align. And then, you know, I come here and today, and it's just like, all right, I need some help with the aligning.
What we're here for.
I'm a little bit, a little failing a little bit
I've been
here.
living a little too much. Now I got a line
Yeah,
again.
I gotta, yeah, I'm like living a little bit too much, and it feels like I'm like, you know, I need to get a bring it over here, you know. So this is really, really great. I'm so grateful that you are able to meet with me as needed. You know, I really appreciate that. So thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.
This is, you know, really great work.
And thank
Really,
you. On behalf of humanity, I thank you for your willingness again and again to do this publicly,
yeah,
because that's why I brought my practice out of my private office one-on-one
yes,
practice to
yes.
quote unquote the masses, because it's time for us to think differently in real ways about how we live and how we process our stuff and where we're going, and living consciously. It's just where it's at. So thank you for this
Yeah, I just feel
opportunity.
so much more. I mean, I'm telling you, like compared to the last 2 days where I just was feeling really on edge, like,
Yeah, I get it.
you know, very on edge, and I couldn't identify exactly why. But
Well,
today was like,
you also did really well. You addressed your beliefs. You tapped. You did.
yeah,
You're
yeah. I mean,
doing
I
it.
wasn't in complete chaos. Okay. I
Right.
wasn't in complete chaos. I wasn't
Right.
shooting up the place. I'm sorry, but like I wasn't.
Right.
You know, because when things go unprocessed and when people are flailing, that these things happen, you know.
That's when
Um,
things happen.
but I wasn't there. But yeah, thank God, thank goodness for today. I definitely, I could feel like it's like I could feel it in my body.
Good.
I could feel it in my body. And so I just need to express more gratitude for my body. And also, my soul work is about really listening and following inspiration, owning that flow, my personal flow, my
Yeah,
higher.
and slowing down that steamroller,
Yeah, exactly.
which I
So
can tell you're doing. You're really starting to do a little more.
yeah, yeah. Like I'm really orienting myself with the higher self, you know,
Yes.
like capital S.
Yes.
And also specifically working out that little timeline
Mhm.
of the year, you know, like that it exists. That definitely exists
Yeah.
within me. Like this whole thing of the year is like, a bitch, you got to be ready. I don't want to hear about your mom after a year.
Well, you'll get that from some people.
I know. I know. I know.
It's okay, because you'll have your response.
And I will be very well equipped.
Yes.
I
Yes,
am
that's it.
very well
You are
equipped.
already.
I'm
Exactly.
very well equipped.
All right.
So, yes, that is the work. That is the work out, the working out.
Yes.
Thank you, Steven, so very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Everyone, this has been session 24, week 24 of Unconventional Wisdom on Grief and Loss. As we have stated throughout this broadcast, we are doing these sessions as needed, living a little, aligning, applying, aligning, applying, living, align, just to, that's just where we are right now. You know, that's where we are right now.
Until further notice.
Until further notice.
Or until I cut you off at a year.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, Steven.
Thanks for laughing.
Steven's gonna be like, all right, it's been a year already. Like, what are we doing?
And like, come on.
Like, come on, get over it.
No.
I don't want to hear about your mother after this year. Imagine. Oh my God.
Could you imagine if you call me like one day after 1 year and I'm like unavailable?
Yeah. Or like someone just like rolling their eyes, being like, oh my God, there she goes about her mother again. What?
And being able to laugh about it, that's the next thing.
If I get that from anyone, I will definitely be on some like, oh, really?
Yeah. Or call me, or have them call me.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye. Because I'm actually pretty good about that.
Good. Good.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. We will see you the next time. We don't know when that is, but the next time. Thank you, everyone. Steven Morrison, creator of Spiritual Workout, author of An Extra Year, Grief and Loss in the New Age. Myself, Delilah De La Rosa. We are signing out. Thank you once again. Until the next time. Bye.